Good evening. My name is Terry Alford. Welcome to our story. It is so exciting to know that for so many of you, as you unwind and start enjoying your dinners, that you've invited us into your homes to listen to what's happening on the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor, as well as the east side of Buffalo. Our story is just one more forum to keep you all informed. Again, our story will air at this time every Thursday evening right here on Waffle Radio Power 96.5 FM. Our story will feature guests, unknown facts, treasure stories, and themes that provide insight into the historic Michigan Street African American History Corridor, as well as the east side of Buffalo. So join us and learn about the latest happenings in the corridor and meet the proud and resilient men and women living or conducting business within and around our historic neighborhoods on the east side of Buffalo. So tonight, it's really warms my heart to introduce these two young ladies who's agreed to come on and talk and share their stories, talk about their professions and things. I'm reminded that the month of March is observed as Women's History Month. And when it comes to black women, there's so many black women, African American women that we can really owe not just our lives and to, but our progress to, our continued upward mobility to. So I think of people such as Miss Eva Knowles, who I had the pleasure of meeting several years ago. I used to work at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center, where we decided to honor Miss Knowles, who at that time had been out of Roswell Park well over 40 years, I think. When I first met her, she was in her 90s. And we wanted to honor her because she was a pioneer, first certified or trained black nurse in the city of Buffalo. Worked 30 years at Roswell Park and served as their director of nursing for years, who served as the inspiration for so many nurses after her, both black, white, and other words, right? So I wanted to really honor that memory, that legacy of Miss Knowles by using this first show in March to honor nurses that many of the community may not know, but nonetheless played pivotal roles in the field of nursing. So it's my distinct honor to welcome both Miss Jean Woods and Mrs. Carol Cole to our show tonight. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
So what we like to do here is, on our story, we like to have folks share their stories first with the audience. So I'll start with Miss Woods. So what is your story?
Well, my story starts back way a long time ago, as far as the 40s, when I first started school. And family was so important and really close. My brothers and sisters, they encouraged me in school. They were actually much older than me, and they kind of oversaw, helped my mother with our education and just growing up in general. Upstairs there was the Kirklands,
Right.
and Juanita Kirkland was really one of the first black nurses
Right.
to graduate from E.J. Meyer Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from then it kind of flows down. I had my sister, my older sister, she was a nurse, she was a licensed practical nurse, so she was an entertainer, and then all of a sudden she wanted to change her life. Well, she had a big influence on her as far as nursing was concerned. And her daughter, Martha Mitchell, she went into nursing, so it was kind of in our family.
Right.
And that was my first job, working in the North River Hospital.
Oh,
And,
okay.
so
Okay.
it's been hospitals all my life, really.
So, Mrs. Coles, what's your story?
Okay, well, well, it's something very similar. When I decided I wanted to be a nurse, it was an automatic thing because just about all of the close women in my family are all nurses. Okay, they were all nurses. My two older sisters and my mother and my aunt. So I had a lot of nurses around me, and I always admired, the kind of work that they did. Mm-hmm. And when I would, go to a hospital, like I remember when I was a little teeny tiny girl and I had to go to have my tonsils taken out, I remember observing the nurses there in the hospital, and they were so kind to me and always, took away my fears and made me feel good about being there because I was frightened at first, but then they took, did things, and I says, gee, I admired them so, okay? And I admired my sister, of course, because she was always so smart. She was a really smart lady. And so I just, but I am also a graduate of the Hospital School of Nursing. That's where I started out, back in many years ago. And, and then I went on, to do other things after that. Okay, I went back to school for, higher education. And, I just, I really, just enjoyed being a nurse, okay, because helping people, taking care of them, and doing something to make them feel better and comfortable about themselves,
Great. So, Ms. Woods, where were you trained again?
I was trained in many hospitals. I started out, like I said, at Milford as a nurse's aide, and from there I went to practical first. I was practical, and that was at Maston. I went to school there. Started out at Troca. Well, I worked as a LPN and had to, finance my own self going through my nursing for registered nurse, and that was in Mercy Hospital in South Buffalo. But it took me all over because I had to work and go to school at the same time.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I had a bad marriage.
Right.
So I had children too that I had to support. So I was, back and forth to different places. One of the areas that I was really encouraged in, I don't know if you remember Bobby Hawkins, Empire College.
Right.
No, I got involved with them, and he helped me, get courses and actually get credit for my experiences. The doctors that I work with, we always had such dirty jobs and whatnot, but there were a few doctors that were sensitive, to the black nurses. By us getting the worst of everything, you learn more. You were exposed to more, and the doctors would encourage you, come go with me.
Right.
Then when they opened up physical medicine rehabilitation and burn centers,
Okay.
I worked with Dr. George, and his name was Burns. And there was another person. He was actually like a personnel advocate, and settled problems and whatnot. Well, he encouraged me to go. He was blind. We met by accident. And he had a dog, and people weren't sensitive to his dog's needs, but that was mandatory for him to be able to move around. And he asked me, he knew I liked dogs. We talked a lot. Would I take his dog out?
Right.
And several times I did that. And when they started this department for burns, he asked me would I work there, and I accepted, but nursing didn't want to let me go. They didn't think that I was qualified for the job, So what he arranged was that I quit the hospital. I was kind of afraid to do that, but he said, no, it'll be all right.
Right.
And I had to leave for 3 weeks, and I had to be rehired. And then I was afraid of losing my seniority and whatnot, but it actually turned out better. I had a better job, better position, and was exposed to all these things that nobody wanted to do.
Right.
And I excelled at them. I was able to travel, work different hospitals. I helped set up Sheehan Memorial Hospital. I learned debriding and transplanting.
Wow.
So it really took me a long ways.
Right.
But I had to go to different, through different places to get the credits I needed. Now, as far as clinical, that was no problem because I was exposed to, quite a few things. But I did. I went to UB, I took courses there, and like I said, actually, Leroy Coles even helped me. There was so many people that helped me through it, and I enjoyed it. 23 and a half years, I think it was.
23 and a half years, wow. So Mrs. Coles, so, you know, you already talked about the schools that you attended and things. Could you maybe expand on that, your training, maybe some of the people you worked with, hospitals you worked at?
Well, you know, I'd only stayed at the E.J. Meyer Memorial Hospital for a short period of time, and I realized, I says, well, I completed, you know, for a 3-year program to become a registered nurse, and then I said, well, I want to go other places so I can see what's going on and maybe, you know, explore some of those areas. So that's why I saw this ad in the paper to work at Roswell Park.
Right.
And so I said, well, I'm going to apply for that. And that's when I met Eva Knowles, because she was the first and only black director, you know, of the hospital. And she hired me to work in I wanted to work in the surgical unit.
Really?
And yeah, I was a scrub nurse, and it was just very exciting to me. I enjoyed that, but it was brutal, because some of those surgeries at Roswell, you know, lasted, you know, like 7 hours. You know, you had to have someone come in and relieve you. So it was. Oh, I'm talking too much.
No, go ahead.
So-
You're good. You're good.
And then after, I left there. I stayed there for 5 years, and then I left and went to the Erie County Health Department, where I became a public health nurse, and I went out into the field, you know, to check up on people that were ill in their home, and that's what I did for a few years, and then I decided that I wanted to go back to school, you know, to get my BS degree, and I went as being able to obtain certain, you know, positions in other facilities. So with the health department, you know, that was very, you know, I really enjoyed that. And then I left there and I went to where did I go after there? If you remember,
I know,
it goes
you've done
way
a lot
back.
there. That's enough, right?
No. Let's see. I went to. Oh, I know what it was. Oh, there was an ad in the paper. Of course, I'm always looking for jobs in the paper, and there was an ad at Trocare College. Okay, they wanted some more clinical instructors there to. So
you taught too?
Yes,
Really?
I did. Yeah, I had a chance to teach nursing.
How long
for
were
a
you
while.
teaching?
I was there for 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah, I was there for 9 years.
Okay.
So, and that was a good experience after that. And what else did I do? Just, you know, I just enjoyed, you know, nursing for so many years. I think I probably worked close to 40 years in nursing in various, you know, locations, different places. You know.
So could you explain to the audience the difference between a nurse and a nurse practitioner? I'm married to a nurse practitioner, so I know, but...
Well, you know, when after I, you know, had finished at Duville, you know, with my bachelor degree, then they started the program at my time. You know, I think I was one of the first black nurses, okay, who became, along with, was one other girl in my class, but we, you know, it was the first class that they had starting, and it was out of UB, okay, and that's, it's a person who, you know, works with, and mine was a pediatric nurse practitioner, that's what I was, so I worked with children, and they, you know, didn't have enough doctors to do, you know, the physicals, you know, and teach, you know, the parents about, you know, taking care of their child properly. And that's what it really involved, primarily. So we did a physical exam. They taught us how to do that, and all, you know, the things that would be important to look for, okay, and doing an exam on a baby and a child. And then we taught the mothers how to take care of their children properly. Okay. So it was really about teaching, okay, really about teaching, you know, the young mother and, you know, the child. Okay? And then if there was problems, we would of course refer them to the physician who could come by, you know, frequently to, you know, see what's going on with the, you know, the children there. But so I worked with that program for quite a long time too. So I just did a lot of different things in nursing. I enjoyed it, and I think. I guess that's about all.
Right,
I
right.
have to say I don't have any.
No, that's really, that's a lot
Can I
there.
ask a question?
Yeah, yes.
Do you work with Juanita Hunter? Juanita Hunter,
Yeah.
what was that? Yeah, Hunter. Yeah, that's what I thought. 'Cause
Yeah, they were
they
with
were
the
the
Erie
first-
County Health
yeah, they were
Department.
the
Yeah.
first
Juanita
ones.
Hunter?
Yeah.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I know that
Health
name.
nursing, public
Right.
health nursing.
Right.
Yeah. So that goes way back. yeah.
Right. So let me ask you, Miss Woods, because you made a reference to Miss Hunter, okay, Juanita Hunter, and there was no, we talked about Eva Knowles and Georgia Burnett,
Georgia
Right.
Burnett.
you know, Georgia
right.
Burnett, who's still alive and well.
Yes, she is.
You
Yes,
know,
she is.
she's 95, I believe.
Yes, she is.
So, are there any other nurses of note that
Yeah.
you might want to,
Yeah, there was.
shout out to the audience about?
In fact, you know what? I was thinking of the people that I wanted to mention that worked.
You
with
came
us.
prepared.
Oh, yeah. Shirley Willoughby, she was one of the first nurses
Uh-huh.
to work there. No, we worked together in alcoholic and prison,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then Vern Beers, you
Mhm.
know, she was the first in psychiatry at ECMC. Well, E.J. Meyer at the time.
Right,
you know,
right.
Yeah.
what was this? I can't even read my own darn right now, you know. But anyhow, there was one girl that, she went to school, I think it was Strike It Rich that
Mhm.
sent her to school, and then she went to school actually somewhere in, I think it was Colorado or
Mhm.
something like that, and she worked, one of the first black nurse that worked in recovery. The
Right.
thing about that was, there was only at that time, the three of us, the three black girls at E.J. Meyer. This goes back like in the 50s.
Right.
And, you know, we had such a hard time. Anything that was dirty, or if they needed people to work during the storms and whatnot, they would send the white girls home and they'd keep the black girls, you know.
Right.
So what we would do was that we cover for each other. You know, if she had worked long hours and was tired and whatnot on my lunch or something, I'd go up and work her job. That she was pregnant at one time and she was obese and having problems, and you know, they threatened you.
Right.
And we'd have to even dress her. She couldn't even get her garters on and
Right.
whatnot. But we would take care of each other.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that was really the way you got through,
Mhm.
because things were so tough. I was called from my own unit to units where there were lice and whatnot. You know, the nurses working in that area were afraid, and they'd send us down to clean the people up, you know,
Right.
the lice and whatnot. In the prison ward, when the Attica riot, I worked that.
You were at the
Attica riot.
you were at the Attica riot?
We had to ride the ambulances because, and you know, I don't know how things happen, but the Jewish, and I say that with respect, the young doctors, the interns, they would ride the ambulances because the prisoners was being treated so bad. Had one person that he was had an amputation one leg, the other one, they had him handcuffed or his
Right.
ankle cuffed. You know,
Right.
they're in a shower. Now the white nurses wouldn't work, and we had to volunteer to work. When they started paying, then they told us they didn't need us anymore and started paying.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was really something, and anything they could do to keep you from getting ahead. I left there and went to the psychiatric center and worked helped open up the emergency room. They didn't have an emergency room.
Right.
And the patients, when they got sick, most likely would expire because they kept them there so long until by the time they got to ECNC, you know, they were unable to be saved. It was a lot of experience, a lot of, you know, hard things with the alcoholics. They would have DTs. I've had dirty water thrown in my first face, you know, and I told my mother, so I'm not going back, and she said, yes, you are. I had
Right.
2 uniforms, you know.
Right.
She wore some one, time for me to go work. She said, "Mom, it's time for you to go to work." And a lot of things are funny, you know, that you did, but
You have to laugh
You
sometimes
had
in
to
order
stick
to
together.
survive.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. That's why it's important for people to hear this. Because I think, young nurses today, especially nurses of color, may still experience the same challenges of racism and, you know, um, lack of opportunities or lack of promotion based on their skin color
Absolutely right
and
about
things. And we can
that.
talk about that more, but that's why it's important for these youngins to hear what you went through before, because it was a lot worse even in many cases. And I remember talking to Ms. Knowles at times. She talked about, the nightmares she had to go through as the first
yeah,
black
she
nurse
did,
when she was at E.J. Myers, and how patients treated her, didn't want her touching them even.
Exactly.
Okay, just
Exactly.
and so it's interesting, all the challenges and barriers and the adversity that you all rose from to still be successful, to still be resilient, and tenacious to say, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to help people despite all of this. You want to speak to that, Mrs. Coles?
What?
Speak to, maybe the racism or the, the challenges that you might have
It's not as
faced.
prevalent as it used to be. Okay, it's not that way, really anymore. I do remember though when I went to when I was working at the Trocare College. Okay, I remember that there was a differential in pay. Okay, as far as- yeah,
Right.
and I remember inquiring about, because one of the, nurses had told me, what her salary was compared. And I compared it to mine, and mine was less. So I went directly to the director, okay, who was in charge of the program. And I said, well, why is it that I, make less and we do the same work?
Right.
And so she told me, she said, oh, well, Carol, you don't have a master's degree. I says, oh, I don't? Okay. All right. And I went and got my master's degree, okay? Because I just couldn't see, that was not going to be something that would
Not
stop
gonna let
me
that be
like
your
that.
barrier.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's, there's always something, They could have told me that, but because we were doing the same work, okay? And we had the same level of care, that all of the other, instructors did, but yet and still, why was I working, making less?
So, Ms. Woods, we talk about Eva Knowles and Georgia Burnett, and you see the things that they've done, and I think they were directors of nursing in their respective times as well. But they've made great strides in the field of nursing, even across the state, across the country.
Right.
So they actually wrote directories, or they were part of like the Nurses Association and getting those
Black
established.
Nurses
Right.
Association. We
You want to
had-
speak
we
to
had
that?
the Black Nurses Association.
Does
Yes,
that still exist? The
I
Black
believe
Nurses?
so.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but I believe so. It had a lot to do with me being able to get my bachelor's. See, because of my clinical experience, it actually exceeded what was required for
Right.
that, but I had to go back and get my sciences.
Yeah, yeah.
And whatnot, but,
Those papers.
but yes, Georgia Burnett, when she retired from Roswell, she became the director of nursing at Buffalo Psychiatric
Oh,
Center.
that's so. Okay.
Yeah, so I worked with her also.
Right.
There was a Lillian Hawkins, I don't really know, that came along with when you got Hunter.
First president of the New York State Nurses Association.
Really?
She was the
Yeah, so, and
first
she's from
black-
Buffalo?
Yes,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she has a whole family. Their whole
Right.
family are nurses, yeah.
The whole family.
Well,
there's-
not the whole family,
Right, right.
but, I
I
remember because
Yeah.
I worked with her younger sister. And
Jeanette.
and yeah, Jeanette,
Right.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so we sort of try to stick together a little
Yeah.
bit.
Do
Look
you
out
still
for
see each other? Do you still talk with each
And
other?
then, as the
No.
younger nurses come through, they had this attitude that, they didn't know what you had gone through, because we used to cook breakfast. We used to have to cook breakfast and
We
mop
do.
floors and everything else,
do.
And,
So you had to do more than just be a nurse.
Oh,
You
yeah,
were
yeah,
cooking
you had
and
to be
cleaning.
housekeeper, oxygen. Remember the great big oxygen tanks?
Yes,
So,
yes.
okay, we'd have to go down and get those, for the oxygen tanks was plastic, and they would be delivered to the hospital. But in order to keep the oxygen tents going, you had to have the oxygen. And you get these, put two on a carrier
Right,
and had to bring them up on the elevator.
right,
And
right.
then connect them, yeah. See, they didn't know things like that, and they was, thought it was all glory.
Hmm.
And you had to, kind of get them aside and tell them, now look, this is the way it is, and if you want to succeed in this kind of career,
Hmm.
you have to respect, nursing and carry yourself in a professional manner.
Right.
So,
Professional,
Mhm.
and it's hard work.
yeah.
Right,
That's for sure.
right. So I'm going to get my plug in now, okay, before we finish up the show. So I mentioned earlier that March is observed as Women's History Month. So for the entire month of March, the Heritage Quarter will be presenting a special exhibit in tribute to our mothers, aunts, and grandmothers that we're calling Stitching Stories, featuring quotes by Daisy Estelle Anderson and others. The exhibit will run from Mondays through Fridays, March 7th through the 29th, 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. at the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridors Commission's headquarters, which is located at 136 Broadway, which is right across the street from Waffle Radio and the Colored Musicians Club near the corner of Michigan and Broadway. So for more information, visit us online at www.michiganstreetbuffalo.org or call our offices at 716-322-1002. And like most events, this event is free and open to the public. So we hope to see you at our office to really witness this fantastic exhibit for the month of March. So as we close out our show, I'm going to ask you first, Ms. Woods, what advice would you give to the young nurse who's looking to, make a career?
I'd learn as much as you can if
Mhm.
they're interested in nursing and listen, watch, be very aware, and continue their education. There's so
That's
many
right.
different fields that they can go into now, and specializing,
Mhm.
But it's very important that they learn and get as much experience as they can.
Do you have anything to add, Mrs.
Experience
Coles?
is very important,
Mhm.
but the education is even more so important,
Mhm.
right? Because it will open doors for you.
Right. As being a health advocate, I'll be remiss if I sort of let you two leave here without, you're both mothers and grandmothers
Right.
yourselves, right? And in some cases,
Right.
great grandmas. I ain't saying nothing, but great grandmas too.
Yes,
So you're all champions of health. But what would you say to the black community in terms of what ails us the most right now?
Togetherness.
Togetherness. So he's not even
Yes.
talking the health. It's about working together, right? Mm-hmm.
Working together.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Mrs. Cole?
Well, I would have to agree with her, working together and also doing what you want people, show, your youngsters, okay, what it is that is the right way. Don't ever hesitate to give them advice on what
Yes.
you should and should not do as a young person.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for coming. I really appreciate
Well,
the
thank
both of
you
you
for
coming and sharing
inviting
the
us.
time with us. As we end the show, again, I want to remind the audience that we'll be displaying a special exhibit for the entire month of March called Stitching Stories that features quotes by Daisy Estelle Anderson and others. Again, the exhibit will run from every Monday through Friday during the month, March 7th through the 29th, 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., right here at the Heritage Corridor Commission's headquarters at 136 Broadway. So for more information, visit us online at www.michiganstreetbuffalo.org or call our offices at 716-322-1002. That's the end of our show. We would like to again thank Ms. Jean Woods and Mrs. Carol Cole for again being our guests tonight. If you would like more information about our Heritage Corridor, again, visit us online at michiganstreetbuffalo.org. I would also encourage the audience, if you miss any of our shows, we've up to this point have had 6. You can always visit us online to go back and listen to previous shows. So if you miss one or two, you can always go back and still see what's going on in the Heritage Corridor and on the east side of Buffalo. So with that, I'm signing off. Have a good night, and we hope to see you next week.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you. See, that wasn't bad.
I